The East African nation of Kenya is known to the rest of the world for its unique geographical position. It is part of the Great Rift Valley, which is considered as the cradle of man. Its diverse peoples, rich flora and fauna make it a destination of choice for ecotourism enthusiasts. Turkana County, located in northern Kenya, is a microcosm of the country. It is rich in cultural heritage, natural resources, and unique landscapes. Known for its vast arid landscapes, Turkana County is home to the Turkana people. Its 926,976 strong population makes it one of Kenya's major ethnic groups. The Turkana have lived in this region for centuries, adapting to its challenging environment. The people have offered their name to a remarkable natural wonder with which nature has so generously blessed them. Lake Turkana is the largest desert lake in the world. The 7,560 kilometer square lake spans the borders of Kenya and Ethiopia. For the Turkana community on the Kenyan side and the Merile on the Ethiopian side, Lake Turkana holds great ecological and cultural significance. However, the region faces serious challenges that threaten its delicate ecosystem and, by extension, the livelihood of the community. Turkana County is heavily dependent on pastoralism and fishing, but the prolonged dry spells and resultant severe weather patterns observed in the recent past are placing immense strain, especially on the fishing community.
I've been brought up in this area. I have experienced severe droughts, severe bad rains happening in this area, especially during dry seasons.
It's a semi-arid area, so over time we've seen the drought change. So before we used to get a drought every 10 years, and that's not, odd. In 1980 we had a drought, and then about 10 years later in 1990, 1991. But now we're seeing it's going, more frequent. So every 5 years you get a drought.
So now when there is drought, fish become less in the lake when you go fishing since there are no rains. Fish are only plenty in the lake when it rains and water fills the lake.
The prolonged drought has increased the number of fishermen and has also forced them to go farther into the lake in search of fish.
That drought affected our fisher folk. It also affected our pastoralists. Everybody who lost livestock, including even in places in Loima or even Turkana South, people migrated now to the lake because the lake remains a resource that actually will even nurture survival of our people.
Very little research has been done to understand the impact of man-made activities, but also the climate crisis on the production of the fish. So with too many people going to the lake to fish, it means that they're actually fishing into the breeding zones.
From 2019, when we moved here in Todonyang, it was difficult to get fish because it wasn't raining. We're forced to go far into the delta, where our neighbors, the Dasanach or Merile, are.
According to the county government, more than 380,000 livestock was lost to the drought. Most families then turned to fishing as an alternative means of livelihood.
I know this is a natural calamity which is not controlled. We neither control, neither do our local community control. But measures in place is that besides us depending on God himself, there are things that have caused the drought. Probably the issue to do with deforestation, which is people have also cut trees, and those are the things probably want to see that how do we, what alternatives do we have to improve the climate changes.
Turkana County has experienced 2 consecutive years of intense drought. The lake was hard hit and the means of subsistence simply devastated. Fish and other wildlife perished as the water receded. Worse still, when the rains finally arrived, they caused excessive flooding, displacing hundreds of families.
If you ask our parents, they'll tell you that this place where we are had been covered with waters of the lake, but then over time it became a dry land due to drought. We got deceived by that phenomena and we moved closer, and recently we got punished. There were floods everywhere which submerged houses we had built by the shores of the lake.
With the receding lake, a vital lifeline for both the Turkanas in Kenya and the Merile in Ethiopia has been tampered with. This has sparked persistent conflict between these communities that once peacefully enjoyed the bountiful harvest of the lake.
People who lose their livestock, they have to move towards the lake so that they are able to sustain themselves through fishing. They can fish and eat fish. As the demand for fish increases, also the conflict increases in the lake. So every time we are losing people are being killed in the lake, people are being, the fishing gears like fishing nets and boats are being taken away.
The biggest challenge is fighting with them because they also fish on our side. There is stealing of nets and there is killing of one another, which is a norm. So everyone has his own gun because with it you can go to fish in places where other fisher folks fear going to.
Simon has been a victim of the conflict.
I was hit with a bullet by the Merile, our neighbors. They came at night around 8 p.m. while we were carrying on with our fishing business as usual. They found us there and started shooting at us. The bullet hit me here. It hit me here because I was lying down. It would have hit my head, but then it passed over my chest. Another one hit me here on the leg. I got shot on my right leg and it passed through here. 2 young men died on the spot. Another one sustained serious injuries and even got referred to Eldoret.
Similar echoes can be heard from pastoralists and fishermen in the Merile community on the Ethiopian side of the lake.
Turkanas come here every day, and when they come, they kill Dasanaks. They also take Dasanaks cows. There's a place called Lobelele, another one called Karainugur. We were born in those places, but Turkanas chased us away. So if you cross Marura slightly towards the middle of the lake, you will be entering Turkana. This side is Ethiopia, and the other side is Kenya. Both the Dasanaks and Turkanas feed on the fish in the lake. So now we want peace because on the other side of Kenya, there are thieves as well as on this side.
Members of both communities trade accusations as to who the aggressor is. Luckily, there is relative calm as the Turkana and Merile have embraced a ceasefire and advocate for peace.
Now, I would like to urge Kenyans to tell their people to rise and embrace peace. Fish are plenty at the borderline where there is conflict. Kenya and Ethiopia should talk to each other and stop conflict.
We've tried to manage through our elders, our peace committees, through the government also, through some interventions like putting dialogues to ensure that at least these communities come together, they sit and agree. Because if they don't sit together, no one is going to utilize the fish in the lake. No one is going to utilize the water. No one is going to utilize the pasture.
Apart from the conflict, the increase in fishermen also has a direct effect on the ecosystem of the lake.
One of the key things that we've seen is an increase in overfishing. There's a market in the Congo, so especially undersized fishing. There is a regulation around what size fish sizes should be gotten out of the lake. But then there's an increase because of this competition. Many people, because of the drought, coming into the lake as a livelihood. So there's an increase in undersized fishing.
During the drought, just in search for food by the local community and the people along the lake. They went as far as even catching the small fish.
In spite of the significant challenges posed by the drought, the communities surrounding Lake Turkana have demonstrated remarkable resilience. Various stakeholders are actively working towards mitigating the impacts and enhancing livelihoods.
We must ensure that a resource such as the lake is properly managed, and then we've set the beach management units, which are so many. They stretch from all the way from Kalokol, Ninikerio to Todonyang.
Some of the initiatives we as Friends of Lake Turkana have been doing is making sure that we champion and advocate against the destruction of Lake Turkana. We're working with the beach management units because there's this perception that Lake Turkana is underutilized. In the process, there's just too much resources that is being extracted from it without understanding how to sustainably use Lake Turkana. But more and more is really trying to build community power, community assemblies, community organizing, because this is a community resource and it can only be sustainably built and sustainably used when communities understand that this resource is for a previous generation, for the current generation and for future generations.
Even with the challenges, Simon has no plans to give up on fishing. He, like many others in Turkana County, hopes that peace will prevail and that the climatic conditions will improve.
This is now like my shop. I do not have any other place with goats, cows or donkeys. So I fish to earn a living. I beseech the government to implore our neighbors to unite with us. They can then be offered boats and nets which will make us stop stealing and killing each other.
Kama net wapatie hawa boti walete alafu sasa watuunganishe alafu ndio tupue pamoja.